Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian Anwada. My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasine, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasine.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay, hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all!
Zero oil.
More ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential for successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice mag-bike ng anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most. Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian and My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasy, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasy.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all!
Zero oil.
give employers more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice mag-bike ng anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most. Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
Hi, I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian and My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasine, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasine.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair young and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all.
Zero oil.
give employers more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice mag-bike ng anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
Dito ako nag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem. So choose a home that makes life more fulfilling by bringing you closer to everything that matters the most.
Arezzo Place Pasig. Live fulfilled.
Finma Properties, making room to build your future.
Okay, and we're live again this afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to our Zoom participants, and good afternoon to our FB Live viewers, to our YouTube viewers, and LinkedIn viewers. So for the FB Live viewers, please don't forget to share this e-learning session so that many people will be able to benefit from our session today. So welcome to another e-learning session brought to you by Ariva Academy. Our topic this afternoon is going beyond coaching, turn to counseling team members in a COVID-19 situation. Again, this is Irish Malanda Samson, your host, and joining me is Mr. Howell Mabalot as our moderator. Good afternoon again, Sir Howell.
Good afternoon, Miss Irish. I missed working with you.
That was just this morning.
Oo nga eh.
Anyways, please join me in welcoming our participants from overseas. Okay, and they are coming from Toronto, Canada, Prague, Czech Republic, Malawi, Southern Africa, Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia, Doha, Qatar, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Ruh, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Boston, Massachusetts, and Los Angeles, California, United States. Thank you for joining us today. So, talagang worldwide na, Sir Howell.
Good.
Okay, and moving on, we would like to give you the house rules in order for us to have a smooth flow of our e-learning session. We would like to know who are the first-time viewers of our webinar this afternoon. So type in hi in the chat box now. Let me see and let me know as well where you from so we can greet you. Hello, Joven, Annabel Pagala. Good afternoon. Edsel Ravino Umali. Hi. Ira Diaz, welcome to our e-learning session. Okay. Rowena Vasalyahe, okay. Annabelle, Ronald, Cromwell, Marisa, hello, good afternoon. So let's do a sound check, an audio check. You will be needing a good quality headset and please use the following codes. Again, that's 111 to show if you can hear us loud and clear. You can hear us clearly. Okay, so far, 111. Romalyn, thank you. Ronald, Dayan, 111. Sir Cromwell, 111. Roxanne, Miss Fair, Jake. Okay. 222 means you cannot hear us. 2121 means the sound is breaking up. And question mark if you don't understand anything. Okay. And we will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. For question and answer guidelines, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise hand button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live question. Type in your questions at the Q&A box. One question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedback, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments, suggestions, topics to discuss for us to improve our future e-learning sessions. And now to discuss going beyond coaching, turn to counseling team members in a COVID-19 situation. Mr. Howell Mabala, please introduce our speaker this afternoon.
Of course, Miss Irish. It's a pleasure to introduce once again. I think this is the third or fourth time that I'm introducing him via our webinar. Our resource speaker today is recognized as a leading thought leader, certified consultant, and trainer in the field of strategic business management in the Philippines and around the Asian region with over 30 years of experience. Everyone, let's all give a hand for Mr. Ricky De Vera. Hi, Sir Ricky. How are you?
Hello. Good afternoon again. Thank you for being the moderator, Howell. This is actually the fourth.
Fourth time.
I guess people realize I don't have anything else to do.
No, on the contrary, I've seen you doing this every day, Sir Ricky. You're one of the most sought after webinar resource speakers.
Well, yeah, I'm happy actually to really be sharing a lot over online and webinars, and I hope you don't mind, but I'm also going to share tomorrow. I'll be conducting a webinar invited by the Nordcam Chamber, which is actually the association of companies in the Philippines who are from Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, so even Europeans, So, and they were saying, instead of us bringing you here, we are there listening to you. So yes, that's true. And again, I'd like to welcome those. Would we have an idea, how many of them already has attended probably my seminars or my workshop before the pandemic, in the hotels or in some in-house? Can we just have
Sure, sir.
An appreciation? Yeah, please.
Okay, so to the hundreds of participants in the Zoom room and even in Facebook Live, let us know if you have already attended one of Sir Ricky's seminars before. So you can type in at the chat box, and for our FB Live viewers, at the comment section. And Melchor Cordova. Who else? Okay, Ronaldo Daggio. Cromwell Maestrado, and then we're being flooded now. So a lot of them have seen you and heard you before, sir. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, right? And well, that means to say there are some people who are familiar with my style, And I guess there's still going to be a lot who will now have to get to be more familiar with my style. I'm excited, Howell, in the session today because for me, it's a session that I feel a lot would need to understand. Okay,
Yes.
understand. Actually, when I was also telling my friends, and when this was being posted, of course, who doesn't, most people have heard about Ariva and the sessions, but many of them, my colleagues or even my clients, were saying, Prof, it's interesting. Your title is we're coaching already, but shouldn't we be doing something, counseling? So I guess it's an intriguing title, a very intriguing title, and that is the reason why I'm excited to have to share it to everyone. And as I share it, I'd like everyone to kindly have an open mind. Okay, why? Okay, let's put things first in perspective. Okay, one, yes, I am a behavioral psychologist. I actually conduct in the MBA programs subjects. I facilitate, I conduct subjects on human behavior, work psychology, personality development. Okay. At the same time, I also have written a lot of articles that has been published with regards to behavioral psychology counseling. And I'm also certified by certain organizations abroad, like Ken Blanchard, for to be able to conduct personality and behavioral programs. And so that means to say the experience, the background is there, okay, the
Yes.
credentials. But likewise, some people also do mention, but Prof, aren't you also doing coaching? Now, let me also clarify. Yes, I also have certifications for coaching. Okay. Yes. And that is why this is very interesting. Uh, I can actually do counseling. Okay. The only thing that I get involved in research in terms of human behavior. The only thing is, as much as possible, what I did not do is clinical
Uh,
therapy. Okay, because that really is a different field altogether. No? Mas malalim yun eh.
yes.
I decided to work on behavioral psychology because I'm a business consultant. Okay, but yes, I also do coaching, but not as much anymore. And I will explain that. I will explain that. I'd explain that. I'd rather that the others who are coaching be the one to do and continue.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, I'd rather spend more time on the counseling side now. Okay. And that's why for those of you who are also coaches, I can relate to you guys. I am not here to replace any coach. This topic is not about replacing. This topic is about working with coaches. So that's very, very important. At the same time, yes, I'm also an advisor to businesses, and also a mentor to executives. Okay, so I do wear many hats, but in today's times and over the last few years, I realized my calling is less of coaching, more of the counseling part. And I will explain that. This is going to be a very interesting afternoon. And that's why I welcome coaches. Let's work together. That's very important. That's very important. So my session is about a journey where we could probably become more effective in helping organizations, okay, and their teams by having a counseling side and a coaching side. Okay. So that's to put things into perspective of, because that's very important for everybody, because some people might say, oh, because he's doing counseling, ayaw niya ng coaching. No, I fully appreciate coaches. You're so important. You're so important. But then I realized we have less of the counseling people because it does require a lot more studies, research. Okay, so with that, for those I've noticed our number of participants are growing. I strongly suggest the participants please get in touch with your other friends because I have attended, I have been taking a look at the webinar so far over the last 2 months since the pandemic or since 3 months. I have not yet heard a session on counseling and coaching working together. This is the first time. This is the first time. So if you are people in organizations, why not get in touch with the others and say, you better, pwede pa bang umabot sa enrollment, Joel, or sumunod sa FB?
Sa FB Live. They can
FB
freely join
Live.
anytime, sir.
Okay, sige, because this is really going to be interesting. I will be discussing a journey map. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So,
take it away, Sir Ricky.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yes.
Let me therefore walk you now through the presentation for this afternoon. Okay, so going beyond coaching, turning to counseling. Okay. So we've got two fields here, the coaching side and the counseling side. Okay. Now, I'd like people again to please do remember, I'm wearing a lot of hats. And I'm also wearing, as I present now, I'm wearing the hat also of a business owner who is saying, I have already coached my people, but how come they're not still delivering results? Not everybody. Okay, so I'm looking at that because as a business owner, I want my people to perform. So the tendency even of some business owners, ako na nga ang magko-coach. Or they will get some external coaches to come in as well. And I totally appreciate that. The challenge, however, is that, and I've heard this even to a lot of coaches, and I myself do some coaching, which is what? We have already coached them. How come we're not still seeing the results? Okay, so this is very interesting. That's why I will also take a look at it from my behavioral psychology side. Okay. My good friends, what really is the reality of this pandemic? And maybe I might also like to add to this. The COVID-19 is not the first pandemic. It is part of a series of pandemics ever since history. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of there could be another one after COVID, and there were so many before COVID. So in other words, the pandemic is what is constant. It just so happened now it's a COVID-19. And I keep on reading newspapers and listening, of course, to a lot of online reports. And I guess everybody else has been doing that. And there's been so much talk about the death rate. There's been so much talk. And I'd like to probably challenge that now. Malalim po ito, mga kaibigan. I have all respect for what is being presented in the news. Definitely, people should know it. And what is that? Number one, that the reality is that there is a COVID-19 pandemic, that the reality is that this pandemic is global because it's a pandemic, that the reality is that there is now more than 4 million who has been tested, okay, as positive. There has been recoveries as well of close to 2 million. There has been deaths that is going to hit almost 100,000 in the next few more days. So, okay, fine. That's what we hear almost on a daily basis, almost on a daily basis. But then as I mentioned, I want to see it from a bigger perspective. This COVID-19, and I would like to ask everybody to please keep an open mind, because I was just doing also another webinar yesterday, and I was asking participants, what was the worst pandemic in the history of the world in terms of death? I am not belittling the impact of the COVID-19. We're hitting around 100,000. We're almost at 90 plus thousand global deaths. with around 4 million that has been diagnosed. My good friends, something to also do remember. When you look at something, you also look at the bigger picture. The worst pandemic in mankind so far that is really devastated in terms of death was the bubonic plague, okay, which claimed, my good friends, close to 400 million deaths. Something to think about. Smallpox, and I think everybody can relate to that. From the time it came out up to this year, has claimed 55 million deaths already. So where am I coming from? People are probably saying, ang lalim mo, Prof. Exactly, my good friends. Because if I just keep on listening to the news today, yes, I will be updated. Yes, I appreciate that. But then sometimes it creates more fear in me. And it can escalate the way we will do things. Okay, again, let me make it very clear. I am not questioning the impact of the COVID-19 today. It is probably the most destructive in the last 50 years. I agree, because I also studied the pandemics, but it was not the worst in terms of death. So that is one of the realities of a pandemic. But I would like to say, but there is something deeper than that. Let's go to the next one. I hope people are relating to where I am coming from. Malalim po ito, mga kaibigan. Malalim po ito. One other reality of a pandemic is the economy globally is affected. So in other words, my good friends, the way, and I do economic briefings as well, and I get to talk to other economists globally as well, because we have think tanks, associations. And what we're seeing now is a lot of the developed economies are going to be registering negative growth for this year. A number of them already foresee what is called recession. A recession is a situation wherein for two straight quarters, your economy is not growing. Okay, and please do remember, the impact of the pandemic actually started to already rear its head as early as the first quarter, and then really showed itself in the second quarter. And a lot of not just companies, a lot of countries has already shown and already reported their first quarter was slowed down. And many of them expect their second quarter negative growth. Malalim po ito, mga kaibigan. Malalim po ito. And of course, my good friends, when there is that reality about the global economy, so hindi ko lang po tinitingnan the impact to death, okay? I also take a look at the impact to the economy. Of course, one of the things that most organizations would like to do is, and say is, sana matapos na ito para makabalik na tayo. Diba? And that's what I'm hearing now with a lot of companies. I'm hearing a lot of sales organizations getting other people together. Diba? For the meantime, let's rally them. I am not saying that's not good. I'm saying, yes, fine, good, wonderful, wonderful. You rallied them as if, and don't get me wrong here again, as if the COVID-19 pandemic never happened. That's what I'm hearing. As if, baliwala yan, kaya natin ito. Okay, again, I am not here to contest any other ideas. I am here because I was asked to share. And I'm sharing from a psychology perspective. My good friends, if we tell people to deny the fact that there has been a pandemic, if we say, tingnan nyo, we've been through a lot of financial crisis. I'd like to just mention, this is not a financial crisis. This is different. This is different. But Mr. De Vera, Professor De Vera, are you saying we should stop the rally? We should stop getting our people energized? And no, continue that. But there should be an afterthought. Is this enough? Why? Because of the third reality that I will now be sharing, that I assume a lot of you will probably have a very challenging perspective, which is, talaga ba yan? Okay, what is the third? This has not often been discussed. This has not often been discussed. The third reality of this pandemic, my good friends, came from the World Economic Forum themselves, the proponent of think tanks in the world. And what is that? This lockdown in modern times is the world's biggest psychological experiment, and we will pay the price. When I was, because I also do links with the World Economic Forum, when I saw this, I listened into the discussion, and naman, if there is a war, for example, it's only in one area of the globe. So the rest of the countries were safe. Okay, if there is, for example, a financial crisis, okay, that's fine. We know when it will probably end. Okay, it's a financial crisis, pera lang ang nawala. Okay, pero ay pandemic, buhay ang nawala. Please remember this, my good friends. And this pandemic is a big psychological experiment, because what has happened here is lockdowns, abrupt lockdowns. Even in the Philippines, right? We get to hear our president on a Thursday evening announcing that on Sunday there will be a lockdown. It doesn't even give you time to prepare. And there are a number of things here from the World Economic Forum that I'd like everybody to appreciate, understand, internalize, and kung pwede po i-share ninyo itong sinishare ko po sa inyo. Ito po sinishare ko. Okay? But this is something very important po, because sometimes masyado na tayo sa debts. No, ladies and gentlemen, the people who survived, they are now the reality of this pandemic. The size of the coronavirus lockdown has affected globally, which means to say, my good friends, and the Philippines is there, because remember, the Philippines, our population is 105, lockdown yan. India, 1.3 billion, lockdown yan. So what has happened here? This is the reality that many did not see. I'm making everyone now appreciate it as well. You might not agree, fine with me, but at least I share this, because this is my challenge now and concern as a psychologist. Sabi ko, bakit hindi ito pinag-uusapan? Bakit hindi ito pinag-uusapan? Ladies and gentlemen, according to the World Economic Forum, we have close to 2.6 billion to 3 billion people around the world who has now experienced a lockdown. That is practically 1/3 of the population of the world. And there are different variants of this lockdown, from total lockdown to partial to you can only go out because of the number of hours. And believe me, my good friends, I'm just sharing this because that is what I call, or we call in psychology, the 21-day habit. And what is that? Maybe some of you have heard about this. If you constantly introduce something to yourself for 21 days continuously, eventually it becomes a habit already. It becomes part of you. My good friends, the average lockdown of most countries is 60 days. That is 3 times the 21-day habit. That's why sometimes I ask myself, you're gonna get people and right away tell them, let's move on, let's move. So, with all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, 21 days to create a habit. The lockdown is 3 times that already. It has been ingraining already itself and creeping to people behaviorally, mentally, emotionally. And because of that, this is now what we as psychologists are watching out for, because we as psychologists, we can see an aftermath of this. And what is that? Because the first 6 months of this year has basically been down globally and in many business. I understand the tendency of most businesses, kailangan recover tayo kagad, kailangan ibalik natin pa, kailangan humabol tayo. Okay, fine with me. But what are we now telling our people? Work double time, work triple time, right? Multitasking, do this, do that, do this, do this. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I am not shouting. It's that this is my adrenaline now saying, excuse me, you've got people who has been there for 60 days. We're bringing them out now and we're telling them, kailangan, di ba, tingnan niyo, bumagsak ang benta natin. Tingnan niyo, productivity natin bumagsak. Oh, push. My good friends, from a psychology perspective, from a medical perspective, we see that the second half of this year will be an epidemic on mental health. In the latter part of 2020, it's not just coming from me. It's coming from forums. It's coming from, psychologists. It's coming from experts. Again, with all due respect to what I'm hearing in many organizations now, let's rally. A rally is the last thing I will do if I was asked. So let's contemplate on this, my good friends. Let's think about it. I'm not saying we do not recover. I'm not saying that. I'm saying how will be the recovery journey of each team, of each department, and even more importantly, of each person. This is from me now, okay? Because I'm actively involved in a number of associations, and of course, because of my work where we also do research and in the academia. No? The way I see it, this is from my perspective, my good friends. This disruption is affecting more than just the physical health and economic performance globally. It is creeping into the psyche of people. And when we talk about psyche, you can check this out in the in the internet. Psyche is the wholeness of a person. Hindi lang siya thinking. It's the wholeness of a person. Have you ever tried to be locked down? I mean, sometimes you ask yourself the question, when a person is not going out of a place for 1 week, apektado na yan. This is 60 days. Unlike a financial crisis or maybe war, as I mentioned already, which you can isolate, you can isolate and sabi mo, dyan lang nakakagera tayo, okay tayo dito, or a financial crisis, ang nawala lang is pera, which the enemy, where we can identify the enemy the way I see it and talking to other psychologists as well, the pandemic is about an unseen enemy. And you know what is for us the most challenging here? And please don't get me wrong here. Kung ikaw ay namatayan during this pandemic, you were not able to give the proper burial, right? The proper respect. So, ang dami niyang skeletons in the closet. Sa marami. That's why when I hear people say, but ikaw, buhay ka naman. No, sabi ko nga, teka sandali lang. That is a normal person telling a normal person. If you are a psychologist, a behavioral psychologist, sensitive yan. Sensitive yan kasi, di ba? Lolo mo yan, for example, or papa mo, And you know, you were not able to go home. So the emotional baggage is a lot, and it's not easy to jump back. But I'm not saying everybody goes to this. I understand there are some people they can bounce back right away. I understand that, but not everyone. Not everyone, my good friends, not everyone. Okay? I'm getting a little bit more emotional here because there's a message I'm really would like to deliver to everybody out there. And I'm not saying whatever you're doing is wrong. You cannot. I'm a behavioral psychologist. You are doing what you feel is right. But then we and I am sharing what could improve where you are coming from. Hindi ko tayo magkaaway. This is a sharing from as psychologists. They will have a different perspective of what's happening, of what is happening. Naintindihan ko pag businessman. We have to move back. We have to jump back. Exactly. Because you're running a business. A psychologist is not running a business. A psychologist is guiding people to feel whole again. It's a big difference between the two. I'd like to move on. The World Health Organization themselves has been regularly publishing bulletins. And they are now putting it very clearly. This pandemic is already affecting mental health. And you can take a look at the bulletins of the WHO. Mental health, psychosocial considerations. And I picked up some of these bulletins that they have, and I'm putting it to everybody to please appreciate po. Alam ko, ganado tayo because modified ECQ, and for some, general na lang. Okay, but I'd like you to please do remember this. It's still not business as usual. According to the WHO reports, I've condensed certain parts. I'll read it to you guys, to everybody, to ladies and gentlemen. Unlike other pandemics and emerging disease outbreaks, this COVID-19 is creating an immense, this is not my words, WHO po ito, immense psychosocial disturbances. The disease involves an unfamiliar threat that is difficult to detect and address more than other illnesses. Okay. And because of the protracted and dynamic pandemic condition, what is protracted? Yung bang hindi mo alam kung kailan, di ba, ladies and gentlemen, wala pa pong virus, wala pa pong antidote for the COVID-19. That's called protracted. Hindi mo alam kung kailan makatapos eh. And because of that, may anxiety. And then remember, they announced that on May 16, Metro Manila in certain areas is on modified ECQ. And then on May 17 and 18, we hear now some news that pag mukha yatang hindi nasunod, baka ibalik namin sa ECQ. Come on, tell me who will not have anxiety. Ilalabas ka na nga all of a sudden, after one day, baka ibalik na naman namin sa ECQ. There is anxiety, my good friends. That is what is happening, we see from the mental side. And according to the WHO, things will get worse before they get better. We'll get worse, but we just have to move on. I agree. We will have to go continue our business. We will have to go and continue our sales, particularly, ang una po sa maapektuhan in most businesses, sales nila. Right? Sales and then the servicing side. But this is what I'm seeing now, because of course I'm being invited also by a lot of organizations. Ricky, we're going to have an online session with our sales team. Okay, can you get to be there so at least you can give us some guidance? And usually what I just do is I keep quiet, I listen, because this is one thing. When I'm being invited to take a look and give guidance, that means to say I am a passive observer. Ayoko po kasing na nagsasalita yung owner, nagsasalita yung sales manager, and then I will bring in my ideas. What I usually do is I assess. After that, I will tell the sales manager, can we have our own online? I'll tell you what I felt you could have improved on. Okay. Because at the time that, of course, any salesperson is rallying their troops, the last thing you'd like to do is somebody contradicting. Anyway, according to the WHO as well, okay, absent a vaccine, non-pharmaceutical interventions such as social distancing, right? Such as alcohol, you always have to, such as sanitation, such as you can only stay for 30 minutes in a certain mall, di ba? Such as even in your car, there has to be distances. My good friends, welcome to psychosocial disturbances. That is psychosocial disturbances. You cannot be too close to anybody anymore. And it upsets our bodily habits and can even upset our decision making. So, if this, therefore, is not properly understood by many, and if there are HR people listening to us as well, or if there are business owners, I would really appreciate if you can take another serious look on how you plan to move forward. Okay? Because of what has happened, the psychological and the psychosocial, just to name a few, personal actions already of people is now about I distrust. Di ba? Parang baka yung katabi ko mayroong coronavirus ilipat sa akin. You know, that's there. Eh. Sometimes we say para naman tayong paranoid. But I'll tell you, with this kind of a social distancing and all those guidelines, who will not get paranoid? Di ba ho? Distancing, isolation, okay, fear, concern, and other psychological attributes will now be facing the new normal. So, where did where do I now lead to? Again, please do share what I'm sharing, the ideas to others as well. I would have wanted more, but that's fine. But this for me is a breakthrough already. My advocacy now with other psychologists is let's make people aware it's not over yet. We are not WHO, but it's the mental. And that's why I'd like to put this also from my perspective. Pandemic situations are less of intellectual concerns. It's less of that. It is more of psychological, emotional, and psychosocial disruptions. Feeling. Feeling. Ngayon, ang tanong siguro ng marami, bakit sir sumasakit ang ulo ko? Because of our system where, for those of you who are into medicine already, this is an explanation. Because our brain is here, okay? Our trigger amygdala is here, amygdala, and then so our feeling is here, tumitibok yan, pupunta dito, magkaganon yan, apektado ngayon ang thinking mo, kaya gumaganon ka. It does not come from outside and then gumaganon ka, no? Particularly for Asians. Asians are feelers, not thinkers. The thing is, if you are already in a position of leadership, you are more of thinker because you got to lead. But then this is my question. How about the people you're leading? Not all of them are like this. They're like this. And I have heard this, don't get me wrong here, my good friends. I have heard over the last 2 weeks because of the announcement that we're now going to go on modified, and there's been a lot of meetings already of companies rallying their people. I have been talking to online. I have been in my FB Messenger, a number of people saying, "Sir, I'd like to be honest po. We had a meeting. We had a meeting with our team this morning online. Of course, our boss, our manager, was rallying us and saying, "We're all in it together. This is what we're gonna do, etc., etc." Okay, and then this person will then eventually say, "But honestly, sir, I don't feel I can continue, but I cannot tell them during that session. Nakakahiya. It's embarrassing." There are so many who talks to me that way now. I could not say it to my sales head. I could not say it to our president. But now I am in a dilemma because my husband is going to lose his job. So what do I do? And sales or whatever they're asking me to do, multitasking, I feel personally I can't take it anymore. And that's why I say, and why are you talking to me? And that's why they said, "Sir, because isn't it you said you're the psychologist? At this point in time, I don't need a coach. I need a psychologist." I need a counselor. And there are those, my good friends. I'm not saying everybody, because there will also be others who will say, no, let's move on. We need coaches. Let's go on. Fine. But not everybody can move on right away. And that's why I felt, now I'll explain, that I felt that moving forward, I'd rather spend more time on the counseling side. My contribution moving forward. I'd rather leave the coaching to the coaches, to the other coaches. I'd rather go for the psychology side, the counseling side of people who are now caught in a bind because of the psychosocial and the psychological impact. And this is also something if I were to share with you, my good friends, remember, schooling in the Philippines is going to start not in June, but in August. Maybe. So what does that mean? More of our students are staying at home. And remember, my good friends, if you are focused on work, the last thing you would like is that you're working and your family brings in, like, issues because you want to split them. And now you've got your children there who does not have schooling. So what are they going to do? They're going to ask more of your time. They're going to ask more of your time, and your office is going to ask more of your time. I personally, I sense a lot of people just don't want to admit it, because that's a tendency of Filipinos. If you ask them, kamusta ka na? More often than not, they say, I'm okay. That's easy to say. But personally, emotionally, that's where I'm coming from. So please do reflect on this. Again, as I mentioned, not everybody is going to be disaffected. There will be those who can bounce back right away. But talking to sociologists, a number of them are my friends in the universities. More of them are saying 70% of the Filipino are emotionally affected. 70 to 80. Because that's the psyche of a Filipino. Okay. Lisa Oliveira, a therapist from Berkeley, California. I've also been following her blogs. And she does, and because I have heard her in several conferences already. And she said, what is happening now is because of the catching up mode, kailangan humabol, we are having to process a lot more than we normally will do, which is just fine. But what is challenging here is all at once. We gotta catch up. We gotta catch up, and because of that, Lisa is saying as well, what we are experiencing, and they have been involved in a lot of research, could be what is called, and this is a terminology I'm now beginning to use in my counseling sessions as well, because I do individual and team counseling, collective trauma. That's a terminology now that's spinning in the psychology world. A collective trauma means to say you haven't gotten off yet this situation because it's still unfolding, but because you have to catch up on a lot of things, you're being asked to do a lot of things at the same time, you're being asked to stretch yourself, as it is impacting the entire world in ways that are best described as it is disruptive. And that's why I really feel sad and would like to avoid a second wave. And the second wave is not going to be about the death. From my presentation now, it is about the mental health on the second half of this year. On the second half of this year, beginning June. Because right now in May, I know it's still sensing. I'll tell you, when we enter June, you're going to be driven by your executives. You're going to be driven to recover, to recoup, etc. Okay, and that's going to be a rat race. That's going to be a rat race. And that's where I'm getting alarmed. I'm getting alarmed. Now, I'd like everyone to get involved now with this. This is a diagram where I'd like to put things into a better appreciation. On the topmost, it says this is about asking and diagnosing questions, meaning we ask diagnostic questions. It is about questioning. Below it is giving them advice. Okay, and then on the left side, you notice it says there, analyze and assess conditions, and on the right side, creating solutions. Okay, this is a template that you will find meaningful if you are a person who is managing a team, a company, a department. Okay, if you are an HR person, if you're a department head, this is going to be very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so by cutting it therefore into 4 parts, the one on the, I've identified it. Okay, so there is one box on your upper left that I identified as UL, upper left hand side. Then you've got the opposite, upper right hand side. And then you've got down below the lower left hand side, and then the lower right hand side. Okay, so in other words, my good friends, this is the question. This is what I need you to get involved with. You have 4 possible ways to move. You either start with the UR, which is I ask questions and create solution, or I'll start with the LR, which is I will give advice and then create solutions, or you could start with the LL, which is I will assess the situation and then I will give advice, or you can start with the UL, I will assess the situation by diagnostic questioning. So, Howell, if you can help me here,
Yes,
if
sir.
we ask participants to type in one choice, meaning to say, if you are to start, where will you start? Is it the UL, UR, etc.? Please, Howell.
So to all our Zoom participants, please type in your answer at the chat box, whether it's UR, UL, LL, or LR. So from Faye, I'm seeing UL, UR, UL, UL, UL. And there's a lot of UL.
Okay. So we're
and
seeing a
then
lot.
just 2 UR, and then just 2 UR, and a few
Okay, this is
LL.
interesting because we've got almost 180 participants and not so many are, well, I guess that's also the thing about Filipinos. They have to think first before they answer, of course. Don't worry, am I correct, Howell? Their identity
Yes, sir.
is protected.
It is. Only
Okay.
us can see their answers.
Okay.
As
Okay.
the facilitators and moderators.
Yeah. Okay. So, my good friends, thank you for putting in your answer. And I'd now like to share to you what would be an ideal roadmap. Okay. The condition here is that you want to move forward. You want to, of course, bounce back. Okay. And you've got people reporting to you. You've got team members reporting to you. If you're a manager, if you are an owner, you've got department managers. So you're a person who wants to move on. Okay, so which one here would be the ideal, followed by what, followed by what? Okay, this is, now I'm going to present to you, I've crafted what I would call Prof. Ricky De Vera's transition model.
Okay.
Given, again, let me make it very clear, given this pandemic, because of this situation, if it was not a pandemic situation, there might be a different way to start. That's the interesting thing about models. It's not always fixated. It is dependent. So if you have been following my sharing since I started, given this pandemic and what is happening, and it is an unseen enemy, and it has affected psychosocial and psychology-wise, I would look at it, and my advice is to start with the upper left hand, counseling sessions. Counsel a person or counsel the team. That's possible also. Because in counseling, what is being done there is there you would like to analyze and assess. Please take note, you're not looking for solutions. You're like to analyze and assess the conditions, the condition of a person, the psychological and the mental condition of a person. And to do that, we get engaged into asking diagnostic questions. We just don't ask questions. Okay. So the questions are well crafted that they'll be able to get a person to actually answer it with a more realistic perspective. Again, counseling people, we are not there to look for solutions. Counseling is there to make the person share and to for the counselor to understand what is in you, what is your condition right now. Then I move on. Ideally, after which you could take different stages. One is people will ask, but we got to go for solutions already. After that, sure, coaching. Because in coaching, what has happened there is the condition of a person, okay, has already been appreciated in counseling. That's why, okay, this person can now go into the coaching mode. You can now coach this person. And of course, I also know, because I do some coaching, but I'd rather leave it to the other coaches there. My understanding as well when I was doing coaching is, yeah, we got to also ask questions to this person. But then, the role of a coach is to create solutions for the person. You work together to come up with a solution. And there are also cases where business owners would not like coaching because for them, coaching is for my department heads, for my people. Fine. If you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, you probably not go for the coaching. You'd probably go for what is called consulting. But again, if I would like to mention this, I'm also doing consulting. But then I realized before I do consulting, I always put my counseling cap first. Because sometimes people does not have a good appreciation of consulting. They tell you, this is my situation right now. This is the situation of my business. What should I do? And they expect a consultant to already tell them this is what you do. And I feel sad about that. Why? Because a consultant's role is not supposed to tell, for me, being a consultant at that, is not supposed to tell a business owner what he is supposed to do. For me, the role of a consultant is to give the business owner the possible options of what can be done. Not, this is what you do, this is what you do. Because there are cases, the business owner, please do not forget me for the consultants also out there, okay, who might not be a behavioral psychologist or who might not be psychologists, because I know there are many business consultants who are not psychologists. It just so happened I'm a psychologist and a business consultant. But I know for business consultants, we don't anymore talk about the psyche of a person. We don't talk about the emotions of a person. We just talk about that's your business, these are the options. That's business consulting. But then I realized each business owner has their own emotion, has their own, psyche. And that's why sometimes they say, that won't work, that won't work. And then sometimes the business consultant feels bad. You're talking to me and then you're already saying that, because I always tell business consultants, I also have a lot of friends who are business consultants. My friend, remember, you're a business consultant, you're not a behavioral psychologist. So therefore, the person, when he makes a decision, will now use his assessment in terms of his risk factor, and the psychology in terms of his psyche. And that, may this be meaningful to many of you. May this be meaningful. Then there are cases, of course, from the coaching, and there are cases, companies will say, oh, we don't need coaches anymore. Let's just do something. Let's just give them the interventions right away. Fine. Training. Right? Training comes in, my good friends. So there are cases that the coach and the coachee will agree. They have to do drills, so they're going to do training. And there are cases that the entrepreneur and the business owner, after being given the consultancy's option, will say, okay, we'll do this. How do we do it? You got to train your people. So if you'll notice in my lower right, that's where the training comes in. But then you might be asking, my good friends, how come the counseling is still there? How come? Now, this is my answer. My good friends, when we do training, that is intellectual skills coming in. You know, you're telling a person, you got to listen because this is how you're going to do things. That's IQ. Okay. Okay. But the interesting thing here is you can agree or disagree, but this is the way we look at it from psychology point of view. If a person is not emotionally interested, if a person has a lot of excess baggage, what you tell the person in terms of training just goes out, right? It goes out the other ear. And that's why sometimes I would tell people, you know what? You're well trained. And then they say, what do you mean by that? But there is no productivity. But you're well trained. You're attending a lot of training. And that's why I feel sometimes, I feel disheartened when I talk to business owners and HR managers when they discuss na, paano pa matututo? You know, how can a person still perform better? Sir, he's gone through training already and then retrain. Sometimes I say, hold on. Retrain? How many times have you asked them to attend a remedial class? It just so happened that their intellectuality is not going to absorb because internally, psychologically, they're not up to it. That's why counseling comes in as well. And we get to be involved by trainers. I am also a trainer, but I'd rather be more of a counselor, okay? Behavioral counseling. Why? Because trainers are usually more focused on the what? Technical specification, while behavioral psychologists are more focused on the methodology of learning. For us, that's very important. Learning styles. Most trainers are not into learning styles. They're into skills training. So we still get involved. And if some of you are into it, mentoring. You might have heard about mentoring. Some of you are probably. I'm speaking here because I have been mentored in my life 3 times already. So I know what it is to be a mentee. And I am also mentoring now. And one thing that is so challenging about mentoring, again, is because when you are mentoring someone, you're making that person, because the person is saying, I want to be mentored by you because you are successful. So because of that, a mentor therefore says, if you want to be mentored by me because I'm successful, then you got to do it the way I do it. If you can follow, my good friends, because I'm speaking on experience. I have been mentored 3 times in my life by 3 different mentors. And the first mentor that I got, I wanted to give up right away because he was so tough on me. Because for mentoring, it's more if you want to be mentored by me, this is the way I do things. Na kung hindi ka makasabay, may psyche issue ka, kumausap ka ng behavioral psychologist. That's why we come in again. So, my good friends, welcome to a transition model roadmap. You will not, again, I'm quite, people are already telling me, Prof, I know what you're going to say in some of your slides. You cannot see this in the internet. Agree. You will not see this, you will not see these directions. Okay, because if I was just going to copy from the internet or etc., then why still listen to me? For me, it's more of, we got to go deeper. We got to add more value to it. And I am willing to say, yes, my good friends, I might be wrong. That's a behavioral psychologist. A behavioral psychologist is never right. Because we have to be apolitical. And what is that? We respect the views of others. But our role is to assess the condition, not the solution. Meaning to say, condition of the person, so that we can bring the person to be ready for coaching. So with this, my good friends, the question therefore is, and I'd like to, again, I have a lot of friends who are coaches and definitely my good friends, continue with what you're doing. We need coaches. But I'd also like to say, why don't we work hand in hand? Why don't we collaborate? So I now like to put in what I call the differences. Counsels or counseling, uh, ours is a broader focus because we take a look at the holistic person and greater depth because we go in. Again, these differences is my perspective. For coaches, and when I was coaching, my focus really is how do I get this person to start building that fire again, to start shooting again, to start hitting those targets again. So my dream really is how to get productivity. A behavioral psychologist or counseling is not into productivity. It is about the harmony of the human mind to the psychology and emotion. That's why they are compatible. They do not contradict each other. Counseling and coaching, they support each other. The goal of counseling is to guide the individual on the root causes of disharmony in oneself, relative to stimuli and to seek solutions. That's counseling. In coaching, the goal is to improve the individual's performance. Very clear. To hit the targets, the objectives, or the goals. The goals. Counseling is not looking at targets here. No. If you tell me, Ricky, I need your support as as a behavioral psychologist, as a counselor for counseling because I have a target, I'm going to say, please don't talk to me. If it's a target, talk to a coach. Ricky, I'm going through this pandemic. It has already affected me emotionally and psychologically. Okay, let's talk. Let me see how we can look for solutions so that you can manage your emotions, you can manage your psychosocial disruptors, and then let's move you to a coach. Counseling can be short, medium, or long term. It really is dependent on the degree of dissonance. We're using the word dissonance. Yung ba, how rattled were you? How rattled were you? Okay. And I'll tell you, there are cases, my good friends, that there are people who really have been hit very hardly on this one. Their spouse lost their job, so now who's going to pay for all the bills? The daughter is now stopping schooling because August pa yan, and the guy now is being asked to work triple time. So ang laki ng dissonance Ang laki ng dissonance. And that's why in counseling, more often than not, we cannot but include the family in the discussion. We cannot but include the emotions into the discussion. When I was doing coaching, the tendency is for me to look at it from a short-term or mid-term solution, right? We have a special project and we got to win this game. Okay, so let's see how we can coach them so they can do fast tracking. Okay, and that's the way I see it. It's very seldom that you really coach on a long-term basis, unless you are what I call a personal coach or a life coach. That's different. That is different. Oh, that's different. Then in counseling, there's that we take a look at the emotional, the psychological, the psychosocial issues, and then we work on uncovering the psyche of an individual. It's not easy, my good friends. It's not easy. But that is our role, the psyche of an individual. Kumbaga, pag napupunta sa amin, ito yung sinasabi lang, wala na po nakakaintindi sa akin. Kahit na ako hindi ko naintindihan ng sarili ko. Okay, let's sit down. Let's talk. When I was doing coaching, and I'm just relating this one, maybe I might have been narrowing it, but the way I see it is like sports coaches, you might realize that sport coaches, di ba, sa basketball and in athletics, etc., Pagka yung athlete, okay, mayroong mga emotional baggage, may mga, sinks, etc., may family issues, hindi yan sinasama sa team. Kaya nga ang coaches, di ba? Ang coaches, ang kinukoach sila, yung wala na masyadong psyche issue. Ang issue na lang, minsan, nasa off-season ako, di ba? Moods lang. Pero, di ba? Sa counseling, iba. That's why I have never seen really a sports coach to take so much time trying to understand the family of a player. Sabi niya, teka muna, you're not in my starting 12. Nandoon ka. Kaya nga, di ba, meron tinatawag na for those who'd like to join the team, you will be interviewed. Only those who we feel are qualified, can show the skill, wala ka ng excess baggage, then you come into the team. Kasi coaching na. The focus is on skill. Then, for counseling, our sessions are what we call therapeutic. What is therapeutic? Relief. Okay? Alam mo, when a person doesn't even have to perform, pero nakakaroon siya ng relief na mas naiintindihan niya yung sarili niya, nakakatuwa to us counselors. Kasi sinasabi, sir, prof, minsan nga nasasabi lang, gumaang na yung loob ko. I'm now more willing to move on in life. That for us is what our role is. Our focus is to get people to move on, to succeed. While when I do my coaching, our sessions are usually energy boosters, ego, with the focus to win. Let's win, let's win, let's win. And the interesting thing about counseling also I'd like to mention, because our focus is to succeed, you might be surprised, but I'll be honest about it. Okay. There are cases that after us, as we're doing the counseling sessions, we're making the person understand that job is not fit for him. We're making the person understand that company, you're probably better off to move on. We never say that's a wrong company. And you know what? This is what people are saying. Sir, Prof, you mean you're telling them they should resign? No, no, no. We never use the word resign in counseling. We say move on. Okay? Move on. Right? While in coaching, don't get me wrong here, but to my coaching friends, but me also as a coach, diba? Ang sinasabi lagi, ako when I'm a coach, ang sinasabi ko, sama-sama tayo dito, kaya mo yan, diba? In counseling, it's a little different. Hanggang dito ang kakayanin mo for the meantime. Ito ang nagdadala sa iyo ng stress and pressure. Do you want to continue or do you want first to deviate? Those are the discussions. Those are the discussions. And that's why a number of people, we always tell them, before you ask somebody to resign, can you ask them to first attend our counseling sessions? Para mas matanggap niya. Kasi I know this. When companies will open up, you will not have, it's hard to retain all your people. It's going to be very hard. And even if you offer them early retirement, you still got them out of a job. And that's why this is where we're coming from. Before you decide that these people will be given a pink slip because hindi na natin kaya sila, why don't you have them first get and talk to a psychologist, to a counselor, okay? So that we can alleviate and prepare them before the message. Kasi kung hindi, samaan ng loob yan. Samaan ng loob yan. And we're doing that right now to many companies already. Inuunahan na nila. Sinasabi lang, we've already made our manpower count. There will only be 50% that will be retained. The other 50%, they'll have to look for something or we'll see what we can do about them. So we say, okay, fine. Let's have the 50% now go through counseling sessions before you give them the official message. And ladies and gentlemen, I guess also, counseling is like facilitating, but you have to have a strong behavioral psychology background. You got to be also a graduate of psychology, but that's not enough, because a graduate of psychology is general psychology. Okay. The way I did it is I also moved to a specific field of psychology, behavioral psychology. So, And then from there, I decided to move on into research and then conduct it in the academy as well, behavioral psychology subjects. And I do tie up with some researchers, some clinical psychiatrists. So we work also hand in hand. So it's very hard to say I can counsel. I agree. It is very challenging because it has to have a lot more in terms of background, experience, specialization. But I'm not saying, but you cannot just simply say, edi iiwan ko na lang yan. Because, one of the things that I'm also working on now is assisting companies who might like to have some of their selected people to be what we call pseudo counselors. Parang sa attorney, paralegal, yung hindi ka talaga, you did not really go through the whole extensive course. But because of the times, okay, we will help you. You go through certain sessions and we help you to be able to do para counseling. Now, if it's not something that is, if the challenge is really hard, then bring it to us. But I guess, you cannot bring to us everybody because konti din po sa mundo ang psychologist. Now, ang coach naman, of course, and I understand this, we get our certification, we got to be seasoned, right? We got to be experienced, and we got to have a track record. So, my good friends, this is very important po. Coaches and counselors can work together to make this a better world, to make people better appreciate and understand. Okay. Let the counselor be the one, let the counselor be the one to make people realize themselves. And let the coach be the one who will now bring those people who realize themselves and who really would like to continue to win. And that's why when people do also ask me, so Professor, where are you right now in this, over the last 6 months or so, I am spending more time in counseling. Okay. Because counseling is that process which aims to help people cope and better understand the situations that they are into. Kaya ang role namin sa counseling is positive coping. And the aim of counseling is many. Self-actualization, self-awareness, self-acceptance, enhancing relationship. There's many. There's so many things that we would have to bring in to a session or to a team. And when people do ask me, so Prof, where are you putting more focus on? I am what you would like to call, I'm a counseling psychology person. Okay, that's my field of specialization. From behavioral psychology, then even go deeper to that one. Counseling psychology is a psychological specialty that encompasses research, because I also get involved on research. Okay, consumer insighting, people insighting, and applied work in counseling process, self-discovery, career development. I also I talk to people on their career development, and that's where we would sometimes say that job is not for you, but you don't have to shift career. Nagugulat sila, hindi pa sir pareho yan, Prof, hindi, magkaiba yan. Spelling pa lang magkaiba na. And then, so, buti na lang po, medyo napaliwanagan ninyo ako. Exactly, nalilito tayo eh. Okay, and of course, our role is the prevention of mental health deteriorating. So, meaningfulness is what we bring in counseling. And I'd like for those who are open, maybe I'd like to ask Howell, if we can a quick survey lang, before I do my recap. Based on what I'm sharing right now, maybe we can ask people to, I don't know, maybe raise their hand on how many feel they'd like to go also into, that para counseling, yung parang, somehow, can we also, I'd like to find out how many would be interested to really say, okay, I'd also like to explore that. I'd like to get to, can we get to see?
We have Joshua, Batalia, Marco J. Who else would like to learn more about para-counseling? Is this a certification course that you can conduct, Sir Ricky?
Yeah, actually, we have designed that already. Yes, I agree. You probably did not end up in psychology and in your college, but fine. It does not stop you, because what we have done here is we have crafted a series of sessions
Ayan.
that we would like to give in. And yes, if I'm not mistaken, me and Ariva were already talking as well on offering this as well to you guys.
So
that
Marco,
at the
Marco J, Alan Macaso, Maria Lourdes Mandalupe, Enrico Recio, Federico. We've got hundreds,
many,
including the FB Live. They'd like to attend your certification course on para counseling.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. If you go through that, you'll also be able to apply it to your own family. Isn't that great? Not just to the company, but to yourself and to your family. So let me therefore bring it to the remaining slides that I have. Okay. So when you are into the counseling mode, okay, and we'd like to help you out in terms of understanding that, you're bringing in meaningfulness in a person. To assist individuals to explore situations, to guide them to solutions. Okay. We also make the individuals become more aware of the consequences of their experiences. And because of this, natutulungan namin sila. We're able to help them not go through chronic anxiety, for example. Yung bang malala na. Okay. We're able to also help individuals to reduce their worry, okay, anxiety, and of course, to guide them in the recovery. Please, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'd like to just say this. For example, you have a team and there is a standard and some people are not meeting the standard. There's a tendency, what we're saying is, they are, ano ba naman yan? They're non-performers. But if you were a psychologist, a behavioral psychology, this is what we say. You know what? We have 10 people here, of which 5 are performers, while the other 5 are productive but not yet performers. So if you notice the way we even say it, may pagka-diplomacy because we believe that everybody has a uniqueness. So we're guiding individuals on that. The question, of course, is, again, since we have sessions on this one, I'll not be able to explain everything, but I'll leave you with this, okay? Just so that people who are listening and viewing us will have an appreciation. Top line lang po ito, no? What are some of the rules of engagement when you are doing counseling to people and even to your family members? Okay. The virtue of discernment. Very important po yan. And when we talk about the virtue of discernment, it means to say, if you are a counselor or if we develop you as one, you know that what you hear is not the truth. It is just partly the truth. Kasi sa discernment, I have to look at the totality of a person, not just what he's saying. Then we have the moments of mindfulness, wherein some people will ask, Prof, okay, we've been certified already, we've been through the session. How long do we spend for each of our engagement with our people? Kailangan ba 1 hour yan? Kailangan ba 60 minutes? This is what we're coming from. Time, if you are a behavioral psychologist or a counselor, okay, you cannot be a behavioral psychologist, but if you were certified at least to do counseling, okay, time is not the issue. It is what you do during that time. That's called moments of mindfulness. And that's why there are cases, so I spent 30 minutes with someone or with the team, pero ang lalim na napag-usapan namin. And then, this is also something very important. If you are into counseling, you cannot instruct people to do things. You cannot, because we're not allowed to do that. Okay. Additionally, when you're into counseling, this is something that we will help develop in people who would like to be para-counsels. Senses. How can you enlighten your senses? Not just the sense of sight, but the senses. And I remembered, I think it was Howell who mentioned that that's one word that he keeps on hearing from me. Sensing, senses, diba?
You always say that, Sir Ricky.
That's true. It's not just looking. Kailangan the 5 senses. How can you calibrate them? Paano natin bubuhayin? So we that's very important. And then we have to hold judgment. We have to hold judgment. Because if somebody tells me right away that, Ricky, I'm having problems with my staff, or somebody tells me, Ricky, Professor, I'm having problems with my manager, then I'm going to say, okay, if you want to understand that, can we stop that judgment? Because you're saying you're having problem, you're already judging. Let's stop that. If you want us to do counseling, let's not judge. Medyo mahirap yun, but there is a way that we will continue a counseling session with no judgment. Okay. And then there is also that cognitiveness, and cognitiveness is you're putting a lot of the things about what you feel, what you sense. That's very important. Medyo I would say it's deep to be counseling. I agree, it is deep, but it is so rewarding when you get to see the team going through a counseling session and then telling you, you have enlightened me, you have made me understand really. And then of course the push paradox. Okay, ano ibig sabihin ng push paradox? Diba ang tendency po is, when you say push, pag ganon. That's push, pag ganon. Okay. In a push paradox, hindi pwedeng pag ganon. Ang ibig sabihin ng push paradox, dapat alam mo kung kailan gaganon. Kasi di ba nangyari sa push, pag ganon ka ng pag ganon eh. Sa push paradox, may timing yan. Hindi mo pwede kagad ganunin. And in counseling, we develop that that thing about, okay, gently until when is the best time na pam, at pag ginano mo, yun ang right time. That's very interesting, my good friends. That's very interesting. So you cannot push right away. That's why in counseling, we cannot tell people, this is a one session. You know what I mean, when you're already a counselor, you cannot tell somebody who comes to you na, oh, one session lang, solve na yan. No. Pag sinabi lang, sir, Prof, how many sessions? It depends on our journey and how we are progressing. And which is so interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, there are stages in counseling. And this is my last set, okay? And what is that? The interesting thing in counseling is because the person has to open up to you. So the connectivity stage, very challenging yan. How can you connect? And how can that person connect to you and then build trust in you? So it's not just connecting, it's not just setting an appointment that I want to sit down and have a counseling session. Because from there has to be reassurance that what we're going to go through is meaningful for you. That's the second stage of counseling. So that magkaroon ng stabilization. And what is that? I will not hide things. Okay? And this is also very important, that the person is going to say, okay, I can say it the way I want to say it. Kasi minsan, for people, pinipilit pa nila yung words na sasabihin di ba? And for us, as in behavioral psychology or in counseling, if you're still choosing the words that you want to say, then you're already becoming too much aware. That's not you. Di ba? Kasi gusto naming mahabol. Ano ba talaga sinabi mo? Sir, Prof, ang sinabi ko is FUCK. Then say it to me. Di ba? Di ba hindi, counseling ito. Ano ba talaga yun? So yung stabilization, that's very critical. And then we go for the diagnosis. And that is where we create roadmaps, okay, to the person. Now, okay, ganito ngayon ang nangyayari. This is what we're going to work on. And then we now share about coping strategies, not to win, but to bring back your self-esteem, to bring back directions, okay, to bring back directions as much as possible. If you'll notice how well I'm not using the word self-confidence.
No,
I'm not. But in coaching, I use that, and I think most coaches will also use self-confidence. Let's bring your in counseling. It's a little different. The person is going to you not because they lost their self-confidence. It's a given. It's because they are looking for direction. They're looking for purpose. So we're not there to bring up their self-confidence. Okay. And lastly, reintegration. And what is that? We want them to go back to their, kasi lahat naman tayo may journey in life. We want them to be able to go back. But probably maybe not go back to their company. Maybe, or maybe they go back to their company and they're now more accepting to what is happening. So that is called reintegration. We also use this for families. Quite a number of families really tell us also, can you do counseling for us, for my families or members? Not that we're scattered, but we want to have more harmony. Let's do family counseling then. Okay. So what's my bottom line here? And I'd like people to reflect on this. The challenges we face today are not simple. Okay, they're not even about competition or even markets preferences, because even your competitors, our guests, are in the same boat. They're not even about touch points anymore. Yung bang correct this and you'll be fine.
Yes.
The challenges that we are facing today affects you, your family, livelihood, businesses, industries, sectors, economies. They are not even arithmetic. They are now exponential. And because of this, again, these are my quotations. What is happening today, the pandemic, it hits the very core of our existence. I'm now speaking as a behavioral psychologist person. It questions even the meaning of what we think, what we feel, and what we do. And you know what is so interesting here? The new normal is not yet there yet. It is still unfolding. Hindi pa tapos eh. And that's why this is going to be very challenging, really. And I'd like to therefore end my presentation with this one. You know, my good friends, at the end of the day, we got to make a choice. We got to make decisions. Okay? And for me, this is my quotation. We do not have wrong decisions. Instead, we have decisions that we make that, depending now on the outcome, will teach us more about what life is all about. Because imagine if you can make that correct decision, my golly, you should be paid millions. That's why we're making decisions. Because the world is not perfect. That's how I'd like people to think about. Okay? And I'm happy to have shared this. I've been given this opportunity to share to people that maybe to strengthen the coaching, we could consider as well counseling also. Wow. And make them work hand in hand as well. And these motivational posters that I have, they're available in my FB page, and it's that you can use that as well. Okay. Reach out. Thank you, Howell. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ricky de Vera. Wow. Put your hands together, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. You never fail to amaze me. Every session that I moderate under the webinar series of Ariva Academy, I always felt enriched, but not as enriched as I felt today. Because you have challenged the mindset of a coach, and that told us that there's beyond coaching, and that is counseling. And thank you for breaking the glass ceiling of our belief and seeing the bigger picture on how we can work more effectively, compassionately as a human being. And imagine, that was an hour and a half of lecture, Sir Ricky.
Wow.
Grabe, ang galing-galing. So, Sir Ricky, again, maraming salamat. Okay, sir, because we had it for an hour and a half, we'll give you 2 minutes to grab a drink. Everybody, you know the drill. Type in your question at the Q&A box. First come, first serve. And because it's already 4:30, I'm not sure if we can read all your questions. But then again, let's do it right now. And when we come back, the more exciting part of the afternoon session with Sir Ricky de Vera. Don't go away.
Thank you, Howell. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ricky.
Oh, by the way, I just wanted to say, and for those who are interested really to pursue our sessions on the chat box, so we have an idea. Thank you.
Sir. All right, welcome back to the afternoon session with Sir Ricky Vera. Support our frontliners. This is our way of helping during COVID-19. We thank you for joining joining us and attending the fourth free webinar session with Sir Ricky Vera. Not only during the HR Summit, but the free webinar as well. We started off in April. And we thank you, Sir Ricky, for generously sharing with us all your expertise and experiences to help build us as professionals. And that's our way of helping you, our dear participants from all parts of the world. And this is a learn and share program. This is the brainchild of of course, our CEO, Sir J.M. Atienzo, and our president, Ms. Irish Malonda. And we felt the call of the moment to give back to you. You being our loyal customers, we wanted to give you something, and this is it. We have, for the past 2 months, giving you this free content. And at the same time, we thought of giving you a platform so you can pay it forward. Since we didn't ask anything from you, we'd like you and would like to encourage you to give something out of your generosity to the people who are in need through the Bayanihan Act 2020 or the Coming Together of Heroes. While you gain access to all our live webinar series for a cost, from April to May, you may donate an amount to help families in distress. However, however big or maybe small the amount you think it might be, it's a big help. If it's 100 pesos or so, we welcome them. Why? Because every amount you'd be giving will go directly to the Bayanihan Act 2020 and benefit the poorest of the poor. And this is also in partnership with Bayan ng Mahayhay. So together, let us show our support to our fellow Filipinos who are in survival mode right now. And during this difficult time, we need you to beat the global health crisis. So act now. Let us click and donate. You can see the chat box. We have put there the link, and it's the http://www.ariva.com.ph/donation. And we thank you in advance for your generosity. So going back to Sir Ricky. Sir Ricky, you're still in the mute mode. Can you unmute your microphone, sir?
Okay. Yeah, right.
Sir Ricky, grabe, maraming salamat. Ang dami nating positive remarks. And at this time, I'd like to greet the birthday celebrant. If we only have one celebrant today, Elizabeth Cape, Cape. Ma'am Elizabeth Cape, happy birthday! And we'd like to greet our local and national viewers and participants, FB Live, LinkedIn, YouTube, and through the Zoom room from Antipolo City, Bacolod, Baguio City, Batangas City, Bulacan, Cabanatuan City, Cagayan de Oro City, Cavite, Cebu City, Dagupan City, Davao City, General Santos City, La Union, Laguna, Legazpi City, Albay, Malayaklan, Nueva Ecija, Pangasinan, Quezon Province, Tarlac, and Zamboanga, not to mention NCR. Thank you for letting us into your homes, into your bedrooms, into your verandas, or into your study. Maraming salamat po. And Sir Ricky, can we proceed now to the Q&A?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
I will anytime.
So we'll be taking questions from Zoom and FB Live. So for the Zoom participants, please type in your question, not on the chat box because we're not monitoring it right now. We're looking at the Q&A box. So type in your question. And we encourage you to do the Zoom live questions by placing the raise hand button to notify the administrator so we can see you and hear you as well. And for our Facebook Live viewers, type in your questions on the comment box. Our technical team will forward all your questions to us. And if time permits, Sir Ricky will answer them for you. So ready na po tayo, Sir Ricky?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's read some present question. J. Ramirez. Ayan, so sabi ni J. Ramirez, some of issues of the employees would be anxieties, depression, low self-esteem, negativity, and others. How do we deal with these issues and how to coach them if the coach himself is also in the same boat?
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Of course, the terminology was being used is how can we coach them if the coach himself is in the same boat? And my answer for that is, given what I'm hearing about the anxiety and the emotional, don't coach them, counsel them. That's a very good example of when counseling would be the more appropriate approach. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's not anymore about skills, but it's more in terms of that pandemic has affected me. Now separately, and for me this is also something that I'd like to emphasize. Yes, there are cases that you want to rally your people, but you yourself is affected internally, and that for me is normal actually. And that's why it would be of interest as well that we also get to open our mind that, and don't get me wrong here, that yeah, maybe coaches would also need to understand and appreciate counseling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ako, I
But
appreciate it a lot, Sir Ricky.
and of course, where I'm coming from is I don't see there's anything wrong if a coach, for example, or a sales manager or a department manager who's rallying his people has that if I were to call it the challenge from within, and then talking to someone, because my good friends, I myself, when I get into situations that I'm also if emotionally affected, it is very hard if it's only you, okay, who tries to understand yourself. And I'm already a behavioral psychologist. So I also have what I call my help or support group. So I also talk to other behavioral psychologists, okay, and I share with them so that they can at least guide me to get out, and then okay, then I'm back here. So it's very challenging actually if you're the one personally concerned, because it's hard to really understand. I mean, it will take a lifetime to understand ourselves. And that's why you would need somebody out there who understands, okay, how to guide it. That's my answer to the question.
Thank you, Sir Ricky. From the Q&A box, Leomer Villarreal. Sir, what's the difference between coaching and counseling? Are they synonymous? Though I believe Leomar's question has been thoroughly answered by your presentation, Sir Ricky. But if there's anything you'd like to add.
I'd like to put it this way. Though they are, I'll put it this way. Think of it as a coin. A coin. There is the front and the back.
Yes.
Okay. The front or the heads is what I call is the coaching side, because you want people to really look excited and go. The one at the back, that's the counseling side. Counselors are very seldom in front. Okay, we're usually at the back, and we don't mind that. We don't mind that. We want the superstars not to be us. Okay, we're there to and that's how I'd like to look at it. We actually complement each other. There are differences, there are uniqueness, but at the end of the day, imagine this: if a behavioral psychologist and a coach can align, I'll tell you, we're gonna create more wonders in this world.
I agree. Thank you, Sir Ricky. And thank you, Leomer Villarreal, for that question. From Jingle Raffles. How can I stay mentally healthy while practicing social distancing and working from home? This is the 65th day, if I'm not mistaken, sir.
Right, correct. And, mental health is one of the bigger issues that we're seeing right now, because just for people to better appreciate it, mental health already is a conditioned mind. Remember what we said, 21 days?
Yeah.
So we're now on our 65th day. Your mind has already been conditioned. And not only that, your cognitive self, yourself has already been conditioned.
Yeah.
And because of that, there is already fear when you go out. There's, anxiety. So the question is there a way that I can work around this one? Okay, more often than not, I would have said, do this first. If it doesn't work, then start talking to someone who can guide you, a psychologist, for example, or a guidance person, counselor. But probably these are the things that you can immediately attempt to do. Let's put it that way. First and foremost is surround yourself with more, if I were to call it, more meaningful stimuli. More meaningful stimuli. Okay, example, we get to be a bit more paranoid when we get to take a look at the TV and we see social distancing, and then we listen to the radio, social distancing, and then so you don't want to reinforce too much of that because you're already conditioned there. What you want to do is to slowly now get out of that conditioning by taking a look and surrounding yourselves with more, if I were to call it, meaningful I'm using the word stimuli, because a stimuli might not need to be a person, because that's a belief of many. Kailangan I talk to somebody, not necessarily. Did you know, for example, that going through, I might sound a little bit for some, but I'm going to say this: yoga, meditation. You don't need somebody, because sometimes it is about being with yourself.
True.
Being able to find peace within yourself. And I know quite a number of people are now going into that, the meditations, that's something, because you got to release it. And those are things that if I were to be asked, start with those first. Now, if you feel that it's not enough, then start talking to people who are more professional, the counselors, the behavioral psychologists. But look around you, there are things that you can do. It's not always about a person, okay? Because I've also heard this. In my house, I'm surrounded by all the negative people. I've also heard that. What did I do? Well, the thing is this one. Who are they? My wife. Oh, okay. My children, my in-law. And golly, I said, okay, welcome to the real world. So it's not really about just people. It's about stimulus. Iba-ibang klase. It could be one person. Yep.
Thank you, Sir Ricky. You talked about yoga. You know what? What kept me sane for the past 65 days?
Yeah.
I have this yoga mat.
Oh, wonderful.
You know what? Because I cannot run outside the outside BGC.
Yeah. Right.
And I cannot go to the gym, and I cannot do treadmill. So what I did is I took this out, and for 65 days, this yoga mat has been my best friend. It has kept me sane. Spiritually, mentally, physically.
I tell you, and that's, see, I mean, you don't have to really go and talk to a lot of people. Okay. So yeah, sure, yes, definitely. Welcome, Doc. Welcome to meditation classes and yoga classes.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Ricky. Now, Ma'am Camille, last Kweti was supposed to ask a question via audio, but she says, thank you, Professor Ricky. You have already answered my question. That's a good thing. Now, from one anonymous attendee, how can we properly conduct online counseling?
Okay, well, that's going to be because it has to be seen. And as I mentioned, we have crafted already counseling sessions that we are now doing it on an online. Okay? But the interesting thing about counseling is whether you do it online as a platform or whether you do it in, I call it on the ground, meaning to say with someone that you can physically touch. What is very important there, for me, it is the genuineness of the two parties. And that's the one that is so challenging to catch in an online, because if we were face to face, like we meet in your office or in a restaurant or whatever, I can see your totality in terms of physical appearance. I can see a lot of manifestations. See, and I hear. The thing is that on an online, automatically, I can only see what you want me to be seeing in you.
Yeah.
And that is why it requires really a certain set of strategies and enhanced skills that we share, where you'll be able to really go and connect to a person, even if they only show half of their body, but you can, and I use the word again, because we developed in you the sensing.
Yes.
We developed on you the sensing. And the sensing is not something that I can really discuss now because it's going to be quite exhaustive. But yes, it's the sensing in people. If you've heard it in Tagalog, sometimes it's called pakiramdam. Ano yung intuition mo?
Yeah.
And actually, intuition is deeper than pakiramdam, because pakiramdam is feeling. Feeling yan. Ang intuition is the alignment of all your senses.
Ayan, yung sensing na lagi mong paboritong gamitin, Sir Ricky. Sensing.
So reading a book on doing counseling and then implementing it online, I'm saying you are shortcutting it. It won't work that way. You really have to be guided on how to do it, and so that eventually you can do it. But yes, we do online counseling. We do that.
Thank you, Sir Ricky. Unfortunately, despite the fact that we have dozens and if not hundreds of questions more, we can only entertain one question. One last question. This is via Zoom Live. Ernel Buenaseda. Ernel? Sir Ernel? Or is this a girl? Ernel. Grabe, Sir Ricky, ha? Sobra ang galing ng session natin. That's why I'm always excited when you are the speaker, talaga grabe. Like, I feel like I'm being expanded and we are growing at the same time. Grabe. So, is Ernel Buenaseda still here?
Yes, sir.
Admin?
Oh, there
Hello.
we go. Yes.
Hi, Sir Ernel. Yes.
Hello po.
You can ask the question now, Sir Ricky. Sir Ernel? Your question, sir?
At the moment, wala po.
Sir, we can hear you po. Ayan, nakikita po namin kayo, Sir Ernel.
Later po siguro.
Sir, you're the last person to be asking po. Do you have... Kasi po, we are running out of time already. Minutes of productive learning under your tutelage. We have learned so much today, but what's one thing that you'd like us to ponder on before we sleep tonight?
Oh, okay. My what I'd like to share to the audience and everybody else is for me it's the realization that this pandemic has actually reshaped the way people think, feel, and will be doing things. And it's not yet over, okay? Until a antidote has been, eventually released, and they're now talking of around October for that to happen, okay? This is a work in progress. Because it is a work in progress, what is so important for us is to be able to understand people will still have a lot of angst in themselves. I do not, again, as I mentioned, I do not question that companies would like to bounce back. I do not question that people would like to bounce back. Who does not want to bounce back? But then the question is that by doing it haphazardly, or by doing it by saying to people, you got to stretch yourself, you got to triple what you're going to do, we are actually creating a more toxic environment. Please don't get me wrong here again, because I'm just saying it from a behavioral standpoint.
Yes.
What is, for me, critical is, why don't we take some time to really appreciate and understand what our people are going through? I know that probably is not something that an owner will have time on, but why don't you ask your department managers? Why don't you ask your HR to take now the the counseling approach? It's the listening approach.
Yes.
Because what I'm really afraid of here, this is what the World Economic Forum mentioned, the second semester, the second half of this year is going to be a burnt out for many. And that's where we're going to see much more people getting sick. Kasi kahabol yan eh. The question is this one eh. How many of the people out there actually have the capability to rush things, to do. I mean, pag sinasabi, I want you to think fast. That's not easy. Thinking fast requires you to develop a person's way of thinking. So that's where I'm coming from. Why not take a break first and appreciate, okay? But of course, go deeper. And that's why, sana, when we do consider counseling, more people will be more interested to also take a little, to look at that perspective of counseling. I don't need you to go back to college on that one, but counseling for me is very critical during the next more months before the
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sir Ricky. More power to you and more learnings.
I hope they can follow my motivational and my FB page, Ricky De Vera, MBA CSP, because we're here, Howell, we're
Yes,
here
sir.
to share to people.
And thank you
We're
for
here to share to
sharing infinitely, generously, lovingly, and wholeheartedly. Thank you, Sir Ricky. Ayan, grabe. I always say that I am a lifelong learner, and every time I would moderate this, it is an opportunity for me to grow myself. And as Sir Ricky fades out of the screen, let's welcome back Miss Irish Malonda Samson, our dear president. Hello, Miss Irish. Ayan, ever beautiful. How are you? Grabe, no? Powerful. 1.5.
Yes, as always.
2 hours. Almost 2 hours. 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Yes, as always, Sir Ricky never failed to give us a deep dive on a certain topic, full of insights, of course. And of course, in behalf of Ariva Academy, we would like to thank Mr. Ricky De Vera for always sharing his insights, learnings, and wisdom to our participants.
I agree. Thank you so much, Sir Ricky. And what I appreciate about Sir Ricky is not only the last time, remember, the intimacy, customer intimacy, he was able to deep dive.
Yes.
But today, he didn't just deep dive. Not only deep diving, he's also capable of going beyond. So not only deep dive, beyond. And that's
I agree. Oh, it's not only about coaching and counseling, but of course, before doing that, most of the companies nowadays are, of course, they want to bounce back their business and etc. But then, of course, we have to factor in and consider as well the state of mind, the state of our employees before going on the steps of coaching and counseling.
I agree. Wonderful takeaways we had.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Howell. I'll be seeing you tomorrow afternoon for another live webinar series for a cause.
Wow. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for
always
moderating
excited.
our session today.
Thank you so much.
Continue your yoga session, sir.
After this,
Okay. So this is not yet the end of our e-learning session. I would like to thank, of course, our win-win partners who make this e-learning possible. We would like to thank our official media partner, Art Plus Magazine, digital media partners, Focus Media, Globaltronics, City Advertising Ventures, Outcome, Elevate Media. For win-win partners, thank you to Brother, Faber-Castell, Gluta-C, Moringa O2, KFC, Mr. Donut, Tokyo, Lotus Biscoff, Boss Job, Sir Technology Inc., Finma Properties, Salary Jet, Ilawi Korea, Kidolson and Carpo Consulting, Enchanted Kingdom, Disperse, Cosmotech Philippines Inc., Mindchom's virtual preschool program. To register, please call them at 0906-486-0710 or email them at disakanabe@mindchoms.org. And if you want to place your ads here, advertise your company, your services, your logo, have a brand exposure to thousands of viewers through Zoom, FB, LinkedIn, and YouTube, please email us at marketing@ariva.com.ph. And stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected on our social media sites. Please join our Ariva Academy Facebook group, like our Ariva Academy Facebook fan page, and follow our Ariva Academy LinkedIn page. And of course, don't forget to visit our website, www.ariva.com.ph. If you want to watch again the replay of our e-learning session, our previous e-learning sessions, or today's e-learning session, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. Again, it's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. For our upcoming online learning sessions, please do register at our website, www.ariva.com.ph. And we would like to again invite you for our live webinar series for a cause, HR Virtual Summit PH 2020 Bounce Back HR. We have invited international and local subject matter experts to share with us their wisdom in the HR field. This will be tomorrow. Don't forget to register. Tomorrow at 3 to 4:30 p.m., we have invited the happy doctor, Dr. Suresh Devnani, to talk about breakthrough in times of crisis, how to maintain a positive state of mind during the COVID-19 pandemic. On Friday, May 22, in the afternoon, 3 to 4:30 p.m., we have invited Ms. Mila Pascual Nodosu from Thailand to talk about streamlined employee engagement in the time of crisis. The power of success attitudes. Become the person who can change during a crisis. This will be next week, Tuesday, May 26th, in the afternoon, 3 to 4:30 p.m. And we have invited Coach Eric Manalo to talk about this topic. Another live webinar series for a cause, transformational storytelling for a landscape of crisis and beyond. This will be next week, Wednesday, May 27 in the afternoon. And we have invited Dr. Tanvi Gautam to discuss this session. Another live webinar series for a cause, an astronaut's perspective. Expand your perspectives to possibilities for growth during COVID-19. This will be on Thursday next week, May 28 in the afternoon, 3 to 4:30 p.m. And we have invited a keynote speaker from Singapore, Rafia Sultana. And if you want to customize an e-learning session for your team, for your company, please do call me at 0916-695-4418 or email me at irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com. And that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to register again tomorrow for another e-learning session, Breakthrough in Times of Crisis. Again, this is Irish Malonde Samson in Ariva. It's all about being better, be safe, and stay home.